When you're able to talk about your grief amidst a few drops of tears, as long as you don't have a total emotional breakdown, then you know you've gone far in your healing journey. Hello everyone, welcome to True Mother's Tears. My name is Zaina Mahmoud. I'm a mother, a wife, a grief loss and a parenting coach. If you're new to this channel, kindly hit the subscription button and the bell on notification to be notified whenever there's a new video from us, which is going to be on every Friday, by the way. Today we'll be talking about what inspired me to start up this channel, which is the loss of my son, Zaid Abdullah. Zaid was a baby that I had after a break of 6 years. So you can imagine how it was when he came. You know, he brought so much joy. Everybody loved him around. Everybody wanted to have a feel of him, including me, the mother, because we were all struggling. He was the baby of the house and everybody wanted to have him at every point in time. So just trying to give you a background of how it was in the house when it's been a while that it's been a baby. So we were all happy. And then precisely on the 27th of July 2018, when he was 1 year, a month and 17 days exactly, something happened. The day was like every other day. It was sunny, it was bright, everything looked promising. There was no inkling that something that terrible was going to happen. Normally, I bath him. I'm very glad that I was the one that bathed him that day. Dressed him up, left him in the room with his elder brother, and then I went to the kitchen to make breakfast. His brother left and came to meet me, telling me what Zaid had done that was funny, and we both laughed over it. So afterwards, I told him to go and do something. We didn't take him back to the room. Unknowingly to me, Zaid didn't follow him, and I'm sure he also didn't notice that Zaid didn't follow him. When he went on the errand, I sent him. And then we got engrossed in what we were doing. I finished cooking breakfast, so I dished it. I came out, and that was when I requested that the elder sister go to bring him. And the moment I said that, I noticed everywhere was quiet. I was seeing everyone, excluding Zaid, and which means he was somewhere, but I couldn't hear the play of the sound of toys or the sound of anything. And you know, there was this cold feeling in me, and I told her, go and look for Zaid. She came back to tell me she couldn't find him, and I was like, when Zaid is not a pin, how can you tell me you can't find him? So I left her. I called the elder brother. I said, please go and bring Zaid for me. And he went. The next thing I heard was a very loud screaming that was continued. To date, I don't think I've healed from that screaming. I didn't know when I threw the food I was eating away. I was with my husband. We both left and went towards the direction the screaming was coming from. And that was when I saw a sight I can never forget in my life. I saw my older son. Carrying Zaid in his arms, and he was dripping of water. Zaid was dripping of water, so it was clear that he had fallen into a bucket of water and he drowned. And I didn't know my husband was the first person to grab him from my son. My husband grabbed him from him and started breathing into his mouth. And I felt like my husband was not doing enough because there was food in his mouth, and because of that I felt like the air wasn't going deep in well. So I grabbed him from my husband and started running, because there's a clinic very close to my house. And then so I wanted to get to the doctor as fast as I could. So I got to the hospital and the clinic, and I was shouting, where's the doctor, where's the doctor? Apparently the doctor was not around. It was the matron that was around. So she came out, and you know, she saw me the way I was. She saw me with the baby, and she just carried him from me. I went in and I followed her. She told me there was no pulse. I just said, Madam, pause. And then I remember I just grabbed him from her and still ran out of the hospital. I was going to run to another hospital to see if I could get help. But along the line, I don't know why some people, I remember people shouting at people because there were people in front of me that were looking at me, running towards them. And then all of a sudden, somebody just came to my front and she stopped me. And then that was when I realized that it was over. It was over. There was nothing I could do. And then I knew that I just lost my son. And then, I was told to go back home. That, they just told me, Madam, go back home. And I remember carrying him in my arms and I walked back home. And this man came. He's like a family friend, let me say, and he took him from me. And then I just knew that was the end. And everybody was broken. Everybody, especially my son that found him. I knew that was when I saw myself wanted to act as the active pillar. Then I didn't know. There was one thing that feared me most was how I was going to survive this. I looked at it, and I didn't know how life would be without Zaid. I just felt like there's not going to be anything. There's not going to be life after him. I didn't just know how I will survive it. So I remember looking up and I looked up and I said, God, I'm not the first woman this is happening to, and I'm not going to be the last. The strength and the patience you give to women that have had this, that have experienced this, please give it to me. I remember making that prayer. And from then onward, I felt, I don't know where the strength came from, but the first thing I noticed was, at the moment the woman told me there was no pause, something left me. I was like, it was like the me in me left me, and I was watching events as they unfold. I was like a spectator watching my life. So I couldn't connect with the feeling of what was going on at that time. So that was the feeling I still had. I would have like a surge of the feeling and then numb again. So but at that moment, I don't know where the strength came from to watch out for everyone that was involved, everyone that was related to me, members of my family. And the first person that came to my mind was my son, the one that found him. So I called him, and maybe he thought I was going to scold him because he kept saying, Mommy, I didn't open the bathroom door. I didn't open the bathroom door, because he apparently went to the bathroom. So, and I was like, no, that's not why I'm calling you. I called him, he came to me because he'd been crying and screaming. So I grabbed him and I hugged him because I felt like that was what I needed to console him. He had seen something that even an adult would break down seeing. So I hugged him and I was trying to calm him down till I eventually was able to do so. So I told him to go and sleep. And then my other daughter, I don't know, she had left the house. She was just walking away. This is a girl of 9 years old. And no, sorry, she was 8 years old at that time. And somebody just brought her to me, Madam, I found your daughter on the way. So I was like, my family is distraught at this time. So I had to grab her, calmed her down and I told her to go back home. And we're Muslims, we bury early, so we needed to start planning his burial. And my husband was a no-go area. I just saw it that the zone he needed all the emotional support he could get. So the family friend that came in was carrying Zaid, and I was like, let's start planning his burial. And then we started where to bury this and that and all that. I felt like my husband needed all the support, so I stood by him to plan the burial, even though he was totally broken. But I just felt that was when I felt like, okay, let me stay beside him. And then we planned the burial, and then they went out and asked me to stay behind. At that time, I'd called my mom, I'd called my sisters, I'd called family, and my mom was already on her way. And then my husband went with him. My mom came around, I made sure my mom saw him before he was taken out. And then I went to bury him. They came back with just his clothes. I remember when my husband came in, just gave me his clothes, and I was so broken. I'd lost my son within the space of 2 hours. Within the space of 2 hours, I'd lost a lively, bubbling baby to the cold hands of death, and he was buried. It was so painful that I don't know how I got over it. I don't know. But my mother was there to support. Calls started coming in from family members, friends ran to me, neighbors, even people that I didn't know but heard about what happened came in to express their condolence. And I just felt like I didn't know. My fear, I was scared that I wouldn't survive this. I felt like it was something so great that I wouldn't survive. So I was just, and I kept talking to myself like, you have to be strong. You have to be strong. You can get over it. I kept saying that to myself. And then my sisters were there. So I thank God that I had the kind of people that surrounded me at that time. Because for every every reason that I tried to bring up to beat myself over what happened, they countered it and made me see reasons why I shouldn't be too hard on myself, because I was blaming myself for leaving water in the bucket, for not recognizing that he was not with me at the time. He wasn't, so many things I was trying to blame myself for, and I was beating myself over it. And they tried to make me see reality on why I shouldn't do that. And if not that they were there at that time, I would have made my situation worse with what I was already doing to myself. And then the next day, I remember my mom came up to me and said she wanted to pack his things away. His things were, they were all about the house. They were everywhere in the house. His toys, his clothes, his shoes, they were everywhere. And their sight kind of consoled me. It made me feel like I still have a connection with him. So, and I like the presence of everything. I didn't know it was harming me. To me, it was consoling me. It was, all I had with him now was the feeling that I had a son that I loved so much. And the presence of his things all about the house was just what I needed at that time, or let me say what I felt I needed at that time. So my mom bringing it up to pack them away was like she was trying to cut off the last thing I had connecting me with my son. She was cutting it off, and I wasn't going to have it. So I told her outrightly no, she should leave them the way they were. And then a friend came into the house. She came to see me. She didn't say anything. She just asked me, where did this thing happen? And I told her, and then she went into the bathroom, started bringing out things. And I was like, what are you doing? She was like, everything has to go. So she took everything out of the whole compound. And then she came up and she was like, the next thing, we need to pack his things away. And I was like, no. And then it was like my mom had an assisting hand, because I had told her and she didn't want to push me. And then there was a friend who was outrightly, that was her mission. That was what she came in to do. And my mom had a helping hand, and my mom said to her that I had requested to do this before and she refused. So my friend was like, no, she needs it done. And then they went on packing his things, and it was not a sight I could stand. So I left them and I locked myself up in the room. I was crying, I was in pain. I felt what they were doing to me wasn't fair at that time. So I was in the room, and after a while I needed to come out. And I came out. The first thing that hit me when I came out of the room was the sight of his playpen. because there was a playpen that was very close to when you come out of the room. So it was like directly opposite the room. And then when I came out, I saw empty space. It was just a space. And that was when it hit me. That was over. Like even the last thing of his that I had, his memory was being taken away from me. Because I remember how he used to jump in that playpen, and that also has been taken away. But I was quick to remind myself. I don't know where that strength came from. I was quick to remind myself that before this playpen, I had a life. Before this playpen, there was a time where that playpen was not there, and I had my other kids, and I have a life. So if I could have lived without that playpen, then it means I can take myself back to that life when I didn't have a baby, and then it will give me the strength to survive this loss. And that was when I told myself, I'm going to be fine, I'm going to be strong, and I'm going to survive this. And then from there, I started pushing myself, though it was with the help of everyone, was with my sisters, my mom, everyone that cared about me, my husband. And at the same time, I was also looking out for them. I remember I had people saying, we're supposed to be consoling you. Why are you the one consoling us? I don't know where I got the strength from, but I felt like everybody was hurting and we needed to be there for each other. And then I remember that was what started making me think how someone can survive this pain in isolation, because I felt like it was a pain that was so grievous. It was a pain that is an undescribable pain that no one has to go through it alone. And then it got me thinking about women, about mothers that would go through this pain and they will not have the kind of support that I had. And I just wondered how they coped. And I was like, if this was the only thing I could do to help people, because eventually this is 4 years after, and I'm able to talk about my story. Sometimes I don't know why I'm crying today, but in the past I've been able to talk about it without shedding tears. Maybe it's the sight is really coming back to me, and if I can be fine today, if I can smile through my pain today, I want any mother that is going through this kind of pain to understand that she can. That as unbelievable, as unachievable it might seem that she won't get better, she won't heal through it. I just want her to look at me and feel that she will survive the pain. And then through her tears as a mother, she will see that she has really grown. She's been strengthened. She's a better person who can face worst scenario. I don't pray for such, but she will see that if I can be here today, so can she. Thank you very much for listening to my story. And if you're new, please don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the bell on notification to be notified whenever there is a new video. For the old people that are for the people that had already subscribed, I say big thank you, and I hope you still be here as I bring up more stories from other people. Thank you so very much and have a lovely day. Bye.